check this out. I just got the new SB-7 System 3 Beadlock rims and the System 3 ATX470 tires from KJ Motorsports. Thank you very much, KJ, for finally getting these to me. These things are 3310 R15s. So basically I've upgraded the rim from a 14, which is stock, to a 15 wheel, and I've upgraded from the 32 size tires, carnivores, to this 33 size ATX470. So I'm looking forward to comparing the two. But check out these couple of comparisons just in size. I'll put those on the screen, of the difference between the 32 and the 33. Some of it may be inflation pressure differences, so I'm going to be talking about those and comparing those as well. So next thing we're going to compare is the weight difference between the stock rim and 32-inch carnivore tire, as well as this particular setup here.
Before we get into showing the weight differences, here's a bit of how they looked when they came from KJ Motorsports. They really did a great job packaging these things and had the rims perfectly protected. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the 33-inch ATX 470s right next to the 32-inch carnivores that come stock on this particular X3. Now for some measurements on the scale. This is the weight of the System 3 setup, and this is the weight of the stock carnivore setup. It's about a 10-pound difference per wheel and tire for a total difference of 40 pounds. This is how they shipped all of the hardware for the wheels. And this is a comparison between the stock lug nut and the keyed lug nut that goes with these particular wheels. Here's a view of System 3 on the driver's side and stock on the passenger side. And here's how the Maverick X3 looks with the new wheel and tire combo installed all the way around. Now from the dirt, these things look like they're a 32, but I'm going to get them out on pavement and I'll measure those as well just to show them off. I'm actually surprised to see that measurement just because they sat so much higher than the 32 carnivores. So I think that's just from it being pressed down in the dirt. But as you can see here, these are 1-inch lugs that they show coming out. Hit about 1.5 from this angle from the outside. Hit about 3/4, the inner ones. And right now with the current pressure, they got a little bit of a bow in the center. So let's check out and see how much air pressure KJ Motorsports sent me with these things. Something I really like about these SB-7 rims as compared to the stock ones is it's much easier to get to the valve stem to check the air and to adjust your air pressures. So let's see what we got here. $14. Okay, thought it would have been higher. Check a couple other ones to see if they kept it the same pressure in all of them. 15.5. All right, so we're back to the first tire we tested, and I'm going to see if I can get a better reading. 14. So they sent me one at 14, one at 15.5. Let's check the rest of them. 14.5. Our last one. 18. What did I just learn from that test? check your tire pressures before you go out. So basically for the next few shots, I'm going to ride them at the pressures that they sent them. But later on in this video, I'm going to step them through several different pressures. I do want to point out that the ATX470s are indeed directional tires. So good news is KJ sent them to me all set up. I put them on, didn't have any issues, so they got them properly set, given that they are directional tires. For a little bit here in the trails, and just want to make a note that they're actually a lot of fun. They get good traction. You can still slide them out, so I'm still coming in sideways on some things. One thing for sure, they are picking up some of the rocks, but not hearing them like hitting the side-by-side yet. Haven't been, I guess, big enough or enough of a problem for that to happen, but I've already picked up a lot of the little pebbles that are just inside this sandy trail. So hopefully that doesn't end up causing some more issues that are unbeknownst to me, such as wearing out paint job. But so far, I like these things. When you take off, they get a good grip and they push you back in your seat. So that is cool. So let's do a sound check when we're out on the road and see how loud these tires are in regards to the whir noise. Now that's 25 miles an hour, so they're not bad at all. I do have to report that these tires between about 50 and 70 on pavement definitely vibrate, like way more than the 32-inch carnivores that I'm used to that come stock with the machine. So if you're buying these things and you do a lot of road riding, definitely be aware. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. And something to note, I did have the machine. This is the Smart Shocks version machine, and I did have it in comfort, which makes the shocks, you know, vibrate some more. So maybe I could control that, and I'll maybe try that a little bit later by putting it in sport mode and help tighten up the shocks. Maybe that would take care of that much vibration coming from these tires. But other things to note, they're great in the sand so far out on this trail. They either can track nice and straight, or I can punch it and slide out sideways. So it's not like they have so much traction, which is something I was kind of concerned about, that I feel like I'm rolling a lot or like I'm going to tip over or something. That's not the case with these particular tires. So far so good in regards to trail riding out here in Michigan. And tomorrow I'm going to try to take them out to the sand dunes and actually test these things out in sand dunes to see how well they do. Do they dig down in? Do they actually just move along the way the carnivores did? So if I can pull that off, that'll also be part of this video as well. And then you'll get a good idea of several different terrains for how the ATX470s work. Okay, we're at the dunes. Got the tires set to 10 PSI. Let's go see how they do.
initial impression at 10 psi out here in the dunes is these tires actually smooth out all the ripple. So it's really good pressure. We're getting plenty of traction. We've gone over all the hills so far and had no issues whatsoever. So yes, these things work well in the sand dunes. No problem at all. When I want to take off, it takes off. They definitely hook. More thing I want to point out about the System 3 off-road ATX470s, they've got a note on the side of them that I'm just now seeing that says for proper operating pressure, max load 15 pounds, max pressure 24 psi cold. And here's the interesting part: for ATV UTV use only, recommended minimum 15 psi. So even though it says 15 psi recommended minimum for the ATX470s, I do have them on the beadlocks, so I'm probably going to continue to run them at 10 psi because that seemed to be the most comfortable setup, especially out in the dunes where there's a lot of little bumps, and out on the trails where you got that washboard type of thing going on. The 10 psi seemed overall the most comfortable.